So as a finance content creator, one of the most common questions that I always get is what S&P 500 fund should I invest in? And I always say, just pick what you're comfortable with and just go with that. So in this video, we're actually going to compare the most popular S&P 500 funds and compare their performance over the past year. Now, the app that I'm using to invest is Trading 212, and if you would like to sign up to Trading 212 and receive a free fractional share worth up to £100, all you have to do is to follow the link in the description box. Alternatively, if you've already signed up to Trading 212 in the past 10 days and haven't received a free share, all you have to do is click the 3 horizontal line menu over here. Scroll all the way down until you see the use promo code section. And in this section, enter my code JUBAIR and you should receive a free fractional share. So for anyone who's ever tried to type in S&P 500 in any sort of search bar on any investment platform, they would probably find out really soon that there are so many offerings of the same index. The S&P 500 is by far the most common index around the world because the return from it has been so lucrative that there are so many copycats. Essentially, what the S&P 500 is just an index of the top 500-ish companies in the US. And as a UK investor, what you're essentially doing is investing into a fund that then buys those, stocks and shares in the way that the list is made, or sometimes in their own way, as I'll probably show you later on. And then you're just buying a share of that. And if the value of the S&P 500, the companies that this fund has invested into, goes up, then you make a return. And conversely, you can lose money if the fund does not perform. Now, by far the most common S&P 500 fund is this one here, in the UK anyway, is the Vanguard S&P 500. And there are 2 versions, the distributing and accumulating. So let's go into the distributing one first. Okay, so this is the Vanguard S&P 500 distributing version. And currently the market is open, it's about to be closed soon. So there might be small fluctuation, but we're going to compare the numbers, not based on their decimal point amount, but roughly around what they've gotten, because there's no point of comparing decimals when the market is open. So essentially, a distributing fund or ETF, the companies that they invest in, when they pay out dividends, the fund then shares out those dividends to the shareholders in terms of dividends. And the accumulating version we'll see later on, the ACC version, the fund instead reinvests all those dividends back into the fund so that it grows more. The VUSA over the past year has returned investors 27.06%. Now, compared to this, the Vanguard S&P 500 accumulating fund, this has returned investors over the past year 28.27%. Now, of course, because the dividends are reinvested automatically, we do always expect this to be higher in terms of percentage gain year on year. The S&P 500 has a very small dividend yield, around only about 1%, so the differences aren't going to be that huge. Now, like I said, there are also variants of the S&P 500. For example, the iShares S&P 500 but technology focused accumulating fund here. Now, as you can clearly see, because it is so heavily weighted towards technology, this particular fund has returned investors over the past year 41.24%, which is seriously higher than just the S&P 500. You can also see that this has a higher expense ratio. The VUSA and the VUAG have an expense ratio of 0.07%. This is about double, but you are paying because this is a more specific fund. There won't be many like this, and therefore the competition is lower. And also, to manage these sort of niche funds, it might cost the fund provider a bit more. But essentially, this fund does not invest into the S&P 500, not the top 500 companies in the US. Instead, it invests into only 73 companies. As you can see, a huge amount in Apple, around 22%, Nvidia around 19%, Microsoft around 18%, and Broadcom around 5%. So basically, in a year where these companies are not performing well, you will underperform the S&P 500 by quite a bit, as the S&P 500 has a lot more companies and is a bit more diversified. So here we see another S&P 500 ETF, the Invesco S&P 500 accumulating version. And as you can see, over the past year, this has returned investors around 28.58%. So very much neck and neck with the VUAG, something we expect because the holdings will be very similar. I believe this also has the same expense ratio as the VUAG. These S&P 500 funds are very similar in the way that they track the S&P 500. They are just provided by different fund providers because why not? They want to make money. When you invest into a fund like this, Invesco will make money from the total expense ratio, so will Vanguard, so will iShares. Of course, as a company, they want to make money by getting more people to invest into their fund, and that's just how the investing world works. So next there is another S&P 500 fund called the iShares S&P 500 Great British Pound Hedged Accumulating version. Now what I will show you is that this fund has underperformed all the other S&P 500 funds, and it has returned investors 24.39% over the past year. And the reason for this is that a hedged version actually minimizes the differences between the pound and the dollar, and over the past year it just happened to be overall that the pound was the better currency to hold for returns, and that's why the VUAG, the VUSA, and many others like it did outperform a hedged version. Now, if you want a hedged version, it is absolutely up to you. In my opinion, over the very long term, there will be minimal differences. However, you will be paying a much higher total expense ratio, as you can see 0.2% here, as opposed to 0.07%. And as you can see on Trading 212, you can check out all the holdings. This has 506 companies invested, and you can do your own research on your own time, not the purpose of this video. Now, like I said, currency unfortunately plays a big role in the return of the S&P 500. So let's go into this fund here, the VUAA. Now, as you can see, over the past year, the VUAA has returned investors 34.89%, beating out the VUSA, the VUAG, and others like it. And that's just because of the differences in currency between the euro and the dollar. And if you wanted a hedged version, you would have missed out a lot compared to this, around 10%, because you were thinking about hedging the currency differences between the pound and the dollar. So sometimes it can pay off to get a hedged version, but sometimes, as you can see, it can be detrimental to your performance. But realistically, over the very long term, I don't think it really is worth getting a hedged ETF. But again, that decision is completely yours to make. Speaking about hedged ETFs, this is the one I've been investing in for a very long time. You can see over the past year, this has performed the worst out of all the S&P 500 funds. However, the reason why I've particularly chosen this fund, as you may have seen from my portfolio updates over the many years that I've been doing it, I like to have my luck at trying to time the market. So for me personally, this correlates very well to the American S&P 500 index, and it makes it a lot easier to, try to time the market because of that. And that's the only reason why I went with the GSPX. I pay a little bit more, but for that benefit. And for me, it's worked out really well. If you are investing in the long term, there probably would be no reason for you to go for a hedged version of the S&P 500. Here's another way that you can invest into the S&P 500. This is the SPDR S&P 500. You can see over the past year, this has, given investors back 23.46%. The worst part of this is you'll be paying dollars to get this fund. So realistically, I don't see any point of any UK investor going for this. You would be paying the foreign exchange fee of 0.15%, in addition to having no guarantees to beat any other UK-based S&P 500 fund. Now here is a very popular S&P 500 ETF from iShares. So this is the IUSA, it's the distributing version. You can see over the past year, up by 26.86%. So very, very similar to the VUSA. They're almost identically named too, I for iShares and V for Vanguard. Same expense ratio here. So ultimately what I would say is that the choice of S&P 500 fund for long-term investors, you probably would want to look at, what it is invested in. Most of these ones are very similar, like IUSA, VUSA, and the one from Invesco. The main consideration would probably be then the total expense ratio, but given the fact that they all are the same, it is just personal preference at that point. So make sure to check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.